In the secluded village of Oakhaven, nestled deep within the whispering woods of the Emerald Peaks, stood a tree unlike any other. It was known as the Obsidian Tree, for its bark was as dark as a moonless night, and it bled a crimson sap once every year. With every drop that fell, a pure, innocent soul, a child of the village, would perish. No one knew why. No one dared to question it, save for one brave young woman named Elara. What she uncovered would send tremors through the very foundations of Oakhaven, and what she did next would alter their fate forever. Don't skip a second. This is one story you will never forget. Once upon a time, in the quiet village of Oakhaven, there stood a mysterious tree unlike any other. This tree bled a dark, viscous sap once every year, and whenever it did, a pure child would die in the land. Year after year, the people of Oakhaven lived in dread. No one knew which family would be the next victim. The bleeding of the obsidian tree became a dreadful tradition, something the villagers sadly grew accustomed to. It continued for many years, haunting their lives like a dark shadow. In that same village lived a young woman named Elara Metasweet. She had lost her father a few years ago and now lived with her mother and her younger brother, Lien. Elara often sat in silence, her mind troubled. She asked herself, how did that tree come into existence? Why does it bleed once a year? And why must an innocent child die whenever it bleeds? One day, unable to keep her thoughts to herself any longer, she turned to her mother. "Mother, I want to ask you something." "Go ahead, my daughter. Ask me anything." "What is it?" her mother replied, looking at her with gentle eyes. "Mother, why does the fearsome tree bleed every once in a year? And why does a pure soul always die whenever it bleeds?" Her mother sighed deeply and shook her head slowly. "I don't know, my daughter. That tree had been bleeding even before I married your father. Nobody truly knows how it came into existence. But mother, I am afraid. I might be the next victim one day," Elara said, her voice trembling. "May the spirits forbid. You can never be a victim of that evil tree." "Not my daughter," her mother replied firmly. "But mother," Elara continued, "where are the spirits? Why can't they stop the tree from bleeding? Why can't they protect us and stop their innocent descendants from dying?" Her mother gasped and looked around fearfully. "Oh, by the elders! This girl, you are talking too much. Please, I don't want any trouble. Stop speaking of the spirits like that," she warned, whispering as though afraid someone or something might hear them. That night, Elara couldn't sleep. While her brother Lien slept peacefully beside her, she sat at the edge of the bed staring into the darkness with confusion. Her heart was heavy, her mind restless. How did the fearsome tree come into existence? Why does it claim the innocent? Why has no one done anything about it? The next morning, with a wooden pail balanced on her head, Elara left the house to fetch water from the forest spring. The path was quiet, filled only with the chirping of forest birds and the rustling of leaves. On her way, she met an elderly woman, one of the villagers, walking slowly with a basket in her hand. "Good morning, Auntie," Elara greeted politely. "Good morning, my child. How are you this morning?" the woman replied with a warm smile. "I'm fine, Auntie. Please, I want to ask you something," Elara said, hesitating slightly. "Okay, I'm listening," the woman replied, curious. "Please, can you tell me how the fearsome tree came into existence in this village?" The woman paused, her smile faded. She looked at Elara closely, then shook her head slowly. "My child, this question is too heavy for a young soul like you. But I will tell you the truth, I don't know the mystery behind the obsidian tree. Since I was married into this village, the tree has always been there. I met it this way, bleeding and claiming lives. No one knows its true story." Elara lowered her head, disappointed. She thanked the woman and continued on her way to the spring. Her mind was still full of questions, unanswered questions. As she walked, her thoughts echoed louder than her footsteps. Why won't anyone speak? Why does everyone fear this tree? Is there no one who knows the truth? The mystery was deep. But in her heart, Elara felt a burning need to uncover the truth, no matter the risk. When Elara returned from the spring, her thoughts were even heavier. She sat outside, staring blankly into the distance. Since no one has an answer to my question, I must go to the Elder Council. They are the rulers of this land. Surely, they must know the mystery behind the bleeding tree, she said to herself. Without telling anyone, she stood up with determination and began walking toward the Elder Hall. Upon her arrival, the guards looked at her with surprise. "Where do you think you are going, little one guard asked, trying to stop her. "You don't just walk into the Elder Hall demanding to see the council." But another guard, older and wiser, looked at Elara closely and said, "Anything that made this child come here so boldly must be serious. Let's allow her to speak." He led her through the tall gates and into the hall. Elder Theron, the wisest of the council, with gray hair and kind eyes, sat on the central seat. He looked up as Elara entered. "Honored Elder," Elara greeted respectfully, kneeling briefly. "How are you, my child?" the elder asked kindly. "Come and sit down." Elara sat quietly, then looked up at him. "Honored Elder, I have a question that has been troubling me deeply." "Go ahead and ask, my child," said the elder. "With due respect, honored elder, what is the mystery behind the fearsome bleeding tree?" "I am just curious," she said softly. Elder Theron's smile faded. He sighed deeply and leaned back in his seat. After a long pause, he began to speak. "My child, I will tell you the truth behind the bleeding tree." He took another deep breath. "Many years ago in this land, we had a powerful shaman. He was greatly feared. Every harvest season, he demanded that the villagers bring him gifts, food, crops, livestock. He claimed the spirits had instructed him so. Our people, though reluctant, obeyed. After every harvest, they divided what they had gathered and gave a large portion to the shaman. This went on for years. But one year the people became tired. They had worked so hard on their farmlands only to hand over half of it to one man. So they refused to bring the offerings. To punish them and prove his power, the shaman unleashed a dark force. The skies closed. The rain stopped. The crops withered in the farms. Hunger struck the land. Fear returned to the hearts of our people. They ran back to the shaman for help, crying and begging. But the shaman, full of deceit, told them that the spirits were angry. He claimed that the only way to appease the spirits was to sacrifice two pure souls, a boy and a girl. The people believed him. They were desperate and afraid. And so the shaman chose two innocent children from among us. Their parents wept and begged, but he said it was the only way. The children cried bitterly. Their parents pleaded until their voices cracked, but the shaman would not be moved. He said, the spirits demanded it. The elder's voice grew heavier as he continued. The parents of the chosen children ran to the elder hall, pleading for mercy. My father was the head elder then, and I was only a small boy sitting beside my younger brother. But even my father, the leader of the land, couldn't save them. He also believed the shaman. The elder paused, then wiped his face. And so, just like that, the innocent children were taken. They were sacrificed, their cries silenced forever. The villagers buried them together side by side in one grave, just as the shaman instructed. And to mark their sacrifice, a sapling was planted over their grave. He shook his head slowly. Then came the worst. A few months later, that planted sapling began to grow, strong, tall, and strange. Then one morning, the shaman was found dead along the village road, his body twisted unnaturally. And the following year, the tree bled for the first time. That same year, I lost my only brother. The land wept, the hall mourned. Elara covered her mouth in shock. As if that wasn't enough, the elder continued, the tree bled again the next year. Another innocent pure soul died. Fear took over the village. Our people began to seek answers beyond our borders. They traveled far until they found a powerful seer. And through him, the truth was revealed. The spirits of the sacrificed children refused to rest. Their deaths were unjust. Their spirits were angry. Full of pain and vengeance, they had cursed the tree to bleed once every year, claiming a pure life as repayment. Ilara's heart raced. "What is the solution, honored elder?" she asked. The elder nodded solemnly. He looked at her, his voice now low. The worst part of the revelation was this: the only way to break the curse was that a pure soul must willingly offer herself or himself for sacrifice. Not by force. It must be willingly. He paused. A pure soul must volunteer to be taken by the tree. That is the only way to calm the angry spirits and stop the curse. He sighed heavily and wiped a tear. "After my father died, I got married to my beautiful wife, and my wife bore me 3 children, 2 boys and 1 girl, but none of them crossed the age of 10. One after the other, the tree took them. The bleeding tree made me childless. My wife, the late elder matron, couldn't bear the loss. She died of heartbreak." Tears now flowed freely from the elder's eyes. When Ilara saw this, she too began to cry. "Honored elder, I am so sorry for your loss," she said through her tears. Then she stood. "I have made my decision. I will volunteer myself to die for my people." Before the elder could respond, Ilara turned and ran out of the elder hall. She made her way home where her mother and her brother rushed to her side. "What is it? Why are you crying?" they asked in panic. Breathing heavily, Ilara said, "Mother, Lien, I know the mystery behind the bleeding tree. It was all a great tragedy, but there is only one way to stop the tree from bleeding and stop our people from dying." They stared at her in shock. "What is the mystery? What is the solution?" her mother asked. Ilara sat them down and carefully narrated everything the elder had told her. They listened in disbelief. Then she dropped the final words. "I have volunteered myself to save our people." Lien shouted, "No, sister. You will not die. I don't want to lose you." Her mother gasped. "You cannot do such a thing. I will never allow you to sacrifice yourself." But Ilara looked at them with calm courage. "Do you know if I will be the next victim of the bleeding tree? Or maybe Lien, my brother? I don't want to die in vain. If death must come, let it come through sacrifice so that others can live." She stood up, wiped her tears, and walked back to the elder hall. The elder, moved by her bravery, sent messages across the land. The village elders gathered at the hall. The time had come. As the villagers assembled, Ilara stood before the obsidian tree. Before stepping closer, she turned to the elder. "Honored elder, promise me you will take care of my mother and my brother. Promise me they will never suffer." Elder Theron stepped forward, his voice trembling. "I promise I will care for them as my own. They will never suffer. This I declare." Ilara's mother and brother cried uncontrollably, their voices cracking from pain. The villagers stood in silence, tears in their eyes. Ilara stepped closer to the bleeding tree. She placed her hands gently on its dark bark and whispered, "Dear innocent souls, I am here to calm your angry spirits. Let there be peace in our land. No more sorrow, no more tears. Let there be no more untimely deaths. Take me and remain calm forever." Suddenly a cold wind blew through the air, and in an instant, Ilara vanished. The ground was still. The tree stopped bleeding. Her mother and brother fell to the ground wailing, and the entire village wept with them. But in their hearts, they knew Ilara had saved them all. The next morning, the elder sent one of his guards to Ilara's home with a special message. When the guard arrived, he found Alara's mother and her brother Lien sitting outside in silence, their faces stained with tears. Grief had made the house quiet, empty, and heavy. The guard stepped forward gently. "The elder requests your presence at the elder hall." Without a word, they both stood up and followed him, their hearts still aching with sorrow. As they entered the elder hall courtyard, they saw Elder Theron seated on his central seat, surrounded by the village elders. The elders stood as they arrived and motioned for them to come closer. "Welcome. I know your pain is still fresh, but today I bring you news of comfort and honor," the elder said warmly. They bowed respectfully, eyes lowered. The elder smiled gently. "I have given your son Lien a full scholarship. He will go to the great academy of the peaks and study up to the highest level. Everything will be paid for." Tears filled their eyes again. But this time it was from gratitude. They both knelt down, thanking the elder over and over. But the elder was not done. "Stand up. There is more. From today, this elder hall is your home. Go and bring only your clothes. You will live here under my care and protection." Gasps filled the hall. Alara's mother and Lien were stunned. They looked at each other in disbelief, then back at the elder and knelt again in appreciation. "Thank you, honored elder. May the spirits bless you. May Alara's spirit watch over you," her mother said, trembling. The elders nodded in agreement, smiling and murmuring in approval. The elder raised his hand for silence. "That is not all," he said. Everyone became still. The elder turned to them and his voice grew firm and regal. "Your son is now the heir to my seat. Whenever I join my ancestors, he shall be crowned head elder. This is my decision. I have spoken, and so shall it be." There was a stunned silence in the elder hall. Lien's mother covered her mouth in shock. Lien's eyes widened, unable to speak. Then slowly, they both fell to their knees again, weeping and thanking the elder endlessly. "I don't know how to thank you, honored elder," she whispered. The elders rose to their feet, clapping softly in honor of the elder's great kindness and Alara's unforgettable sacrifice. "Your daughter gave her life to save this land. We can never forget her," one elder said. "Through her sacrifice, a new dawn has come." And so peace returned to Oakhaven. The obsidian tree never bled again. No more innocent souls died. The curse was broken. The land was free, and Alara's name was written in the hearts of all, forever remembered as the young woman who gave everything to save her people. After leaving the elder hall that day, Alara's mother and Lien returned to their home to pack their belongings. With only their clothes and memories, they made their way back to the elder hall. From that day on, the elder hall became their new home. They were cared for by the elders' attendants, protected by guards, and treated with the honor befitting the family of the woman who had saved the land. Though they still mourned Alara deeply, they lived in peace and gratitude. Years passed. Lien was now at the great academy of the peaks, studying under the full scholarship the elder had provided. He worked hard, always remembering the sacrifice of his sister and the kindness of the elder. But one afternoon during a quiet moment on campus, his message stone chimed. It was his mother. Her voice was shaking. "Lien, the elder. He is gone," she said, crying bitterly. Lien froze. No, it can't be," he whispered. Tears streamed down his face as grief overtook him. He cried uncontrollably, mourning the man who had become like a father to him. A few weeks later, Lien returned to the village for the elder's burial. The whole land mourned. The funeral was grand and sorrowful, honoring a great leader who had brought peace back to Oakhaven. After the burial, the elders summoned Lien to a private meeting. "You are the heir to the elder's seat," one elder said. "But the late elder gave us clear instruction before he died. He said, we must allow you to finish your education before we crown you head elder." Lien nodded respectfully with tears in his eyes. "I understand. "I will honor his wishes," he replied. With the blessing of the elders, Lien returned to school, more determined than ever. He poured his heart into his studies, knowing the future of a village awaited him. A few years later, Lien graduated from the great academy with honors. He took beautiful pictures with his mother, both smiling proudly, his graduation robes glowing in the sunlight, a symbol of triumph after years of sorrow. Then, not long after, the long-awaited day came. Lien was crowned the head elder of Oakhaven. The villagers gathered in their thousands to witness the historic moment. The same boy who once wept for his sister's death had now become the hope of the land. As he sat on the central seat for the first time, his heart remembered Alara. He raised his voice and said, "This seat is not mine alone. It belongs to my sister Alara, the true savior of Oakhaven. Her name will never be forgotten." And the crowd erupted in joy and tears. Not long after his coronation, head elder Lien began his reign with wisdom, humility, and compassion. The people of Oakhaven rejoiced under his leadership. One bright morning, he gathered skilled craftsmen and artists. And so, under his command, a statue of Alara was molded. A beautiful, lifelike image of Alara Meadowsweet standing tall with her hands on the obsidian tree, just as she had stood on the day she vanished. The day the statue was unveiled, the entire village came out in celebration and remembrance. Alara's mother stood beside the head elder weeping quietly, her heart filled with pride and pain. And from that day forward, the village held an annual festival called the Day of Serenity to remember Alara's sacrifice and to celebrate the end of the curse. And the young woman who once walked alone to seek the truth became the eternal guardian of Oakhaven.